So this is my man mishap story. So I'm.
You're done. You got it.
Good story, bro. You got it.
My man mishap is a date I went on in college. I met this girl, we were interested in each other, and we went on the first date, and it went really, really well. And so for the second date, we were gonna bake cookies and hang out. We start the date, we start baking the cookies, and then she starts talking to me about all of the things in her past. Yeah, I was in this gang, and then I was dating this guy, and he was like a murderer, and he was like killing people, and I got caught in like gunfire a couple times, and I'm like, oh, interesting. And then we burnt the cookies, and I took that as a sign, and there was no third date. I should have seen it coming.
A few years ago, for Easter, I was responsible for cooking the pork roast for our family. And I wanted to get a little creative and try something I'd never done before. And I thought, why not grill the pork roast? Went out in the backyard, put the pork roast on the grill, left it there. Noticed some smoke coming out of it. And I thought, that's not a big deal. Left, went inside again. Came back, the entire area was on fire. Coming out of the pork roast, it was pouring out of the grill. And so I ran inside, I grabbed a whole tub of flour, and I just threw the whole tub of flour on it. Fortunately, it put the flames out in time, but now the entire pork roast is covered in flour. I just rinsed it off. Tasted pretty good and worked out in the end.
I was driving along, construction real tight, and I sneezed and gave her a little jerk, and I hit the curb and bounced off the curb, and I was embarrassed and had to give my wife the keys. What happened? I'm just kidding. She's a good driver, actually.
So I was in the OR room during the day of Demi's C-section, and so I was called to hold her hand, and so I was sitting down lower than she was. She was kind of up, getting her surgery done, and so I had to stick my arm out, and after about 5 minutes, I said, "Hey, Demi, my arm kind of hurts. Can I stop holding my arm up?" All the doctors just looked at me. And Demi's like, "No, he's not a deadbeat dad. He's okay. So
I have one of my kids working, and he says, texts me when he's done. He says, "I'm out." And I said, "Cool, I'm at home." A few minutes later, he texts back, "LOL, are you coming to pick me up?" And I'm like, thought he had his bike, didn't have his bike. But man, read your texts.
So I've got 3 small children, and we were packing up the car, and so my wife takes the baby, gets the baby on the baby chair, and I take the boys and put them in their car seats. And I sit down in the driver's seat, and we're on our way. And next thing we know, our 3-year-old comes up between us in the car. "Hi, Daddy." I turn around. He is out of his seat. Daddy forgot to strap him in.
I like to say I was a lumberjack. I'm not. I thought it was cool to call myself lumberjack. I just worked in the lumber mill. I kid you not, my dad treated me different for those next 3 months because he thought I was a real man. And he's like, "Yeah, my son's a man." I wasn't revving it, I was doing it, but the chain was still spinning, and I would rest, and it would slice, and it sliced right through my leg. It sounds like I cut my leg off, but it was only a couple of stitches. I called my boss. I was like, "Can I go home?" But to be honest, I wanted to go home because I was tired now because of my cut. And I was making the cut. I was like, I'm hurt. Let me go home.
My 5-year-old starts kind of yelling from the back seat that she has to use the restroom. And so Quick Trip is always where we stop. We stopped at this one because I knew it had a family restroom, and we get there and the door's locked. So we go into the men's room, and all the stalls are locked except for the one. And I can kind of tell as soon as I opened the door why that particular stall was the only one unopened. It was kind of gross. I got Gwen up onto the seat. She's ready to go. And all of a sudden I turn around, and because I can't just leave my 3-year-old in the truck, I had to bring her with us. And she's licking the wall of one of the stalls inside a Quick Trip. And I'm in my head, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" Like freaking out, like worried she's gonna get some weird disease or sickness.
I was in a speech class, and we had to choose a random city to talk about. And I chose Venice, Italy. And throughout my entire speech, even among my research, I guess I just assumed it was pronounced Venice instead of Venice. I think I got a C on that presentation.
I needed to run into Pick and Save. We had been chasing around all day, and I was exhausted. They were tired of getting in and out of the car. So I just decided I'm gonna just like, hey guys, can you please just chill in the car? I'll be in and out of the store in like 5 minutes. I locked them in the car. I'm at the checkout with all these items, and I hear this frantic woman come running inside, and she says, you need to call the police right now. There are 2 kids climbing all over a vehicle outside in the parking lot. And it was my children, of course, and it was not a great conversation with me and the twins.
Just this past summer, I was taking a trip with Sarah and the boys to Minnesota to visit her family. And on this trip, I was actually going to be dropping them off and then going beyond her parents' house to go on a kayaking trip with a buddy. We were driving, and I noticed that we were getting some pretty bad gas mileage, but this was more than I'd expect. I'd used this kayak rack before, and it was like maybe dropping it a couple miles per gallon, but we were going from like 24 miles a gallon down to like 16, 17 miles per gallon. I attributed it to the wind. It wasn't until we got to my wife's parents' house, which has a steeply inclined driveway, that I went to set the emergency brake in the car, only to find that it was actually already engaged and had been for the entire 5-hour drive that we just made from Brookfield to the Twin Cities. So that is my man mishap.